Before we go out to California, we need to pick up the Airstream from Fred's house. All I need to do is install the hitch, attach the safety chains, and the emergency pull-away. I definitely recommend the Blue Ox anti-sway system. It keeps the trailer from fishtailing and also keeps the truck from squatting. Now let's get this trailer down to my house. We're all packed up. That bike rack is from a company called Carry Bike. We take our mountain bikes with us everywhere. We don't know how this flat happened, but fortunately somebody on the freeway told us about it. We were close to the RV park already, so I just drove very carefully and slowly. We can have another episode later about changing flats on an Airstream.
So Emily, go ahead and tell me about your bike.
Okay, this is a 2014 Trek Remedy 29er. I'm running Stan's Flow rims and the Maxxis DHRs. I run the DHR 2s in the rear and the front. I like a lot of rubber up front, gives me more control. We're running a 2x10 drivetrain, so we got the 10-speed cassette, and we have the 2x up front. Also, I like to run with a Black Spire chain guide that prevents the chain from popping off when you're doing a lot of aggressive riding. The bike has about 5 inches of travel, so we've got our RockShox rear, and we've got our Fox up front. I'm running with certain carbon components, so we've got a carbon Crank Brothers post, the carbon Bontrager seat, and the carbon race face bars. I find that the carbon components, the parts that touch your body, tend to soak up a lot of that high frequency vibration that makes riding uncomfortable. The bike is aluminum though.
Now, did the carbon parts come with this bike, or did you have to get those aftermarket?
Had to order them. That's the wonderful thing about when you get a good core frame, you can upgrade it as you see fit. I'm also running with the ulnar nerve grips from Ergon, and they give you a nice flat area for your hands during extensive descents. And we're also running with quad piston Shimano Saint brakes and 180 rotors up front and back. I'm kind of a, what do they call, a motocross style braker, so I like to use both brakes equally. And finally, we got the anniversary edition SPD pedals, also Shimano. One of the most reliable components on this bike.
What's your favorite color, Emily?
Green. So that's why I have a blue bike.
Exactly.
Fred's gonna do a walkthrough of his bike.
All right, so this is my giant X Trance 29er. It's the last of the X Trance 29ers. Now they only come in 650Bs. But it's actually one of the lower ends, so it has all of the base componentry, but it's all still decent componentry on this bike. So again, the frame is really good, and the advantage is you can always upgrade the parts. If you look at the rear derailleur, the whole drivetrain itself is just Shimano Dior, so nothing super fancy there. It's a 2x10 drivetrain. I have my Crank Brother 50/50 flat pedals because, again, I ride 510 flats, or shoes here for riding, and I really do prefer not being locked in because I like to bail. The other thing I'm running is these Duster 29er wheels from Bontrager. The original bike came with, they call them Sexy or something like that, like SXCs, but I had to get some new wheels due to that, so I got these at a really good price, free, and but they're doing very well. I also have upgraded the brakes to Shimano Saint brakes, so they're quad piston brakes, and they work quite well for going downhill. My tires on here are the High Roller 2s from Maxxis. They've been pretty decent. I normally ride the DHRs, but not this time. Up here is just a basic ergon saddle, so it's just ergonomically correct, along with the ergon grips, which I need to replace pretty soon here because you can see they're getting worn out. But these are enduro style brakes, and I like the blue that matches with the bike. Up on top here I have a good old life-proof thing for my phone here that I actually connected, along with a quad lock system that works really well for locking it in. And then of course I have my action camera, a no-name generic. Before I want to spend the money on a GoPro, I'm trying this out just to kind of see how well I can start filming things before I actually spend additional money. In my bag, my Osprey bag here, I actually have a gimbal and other equipment that I like to use for filming, but they're all packed up there in case we need to use it later. We did 2 feature rides for a mountain bike project at Wilder Ranch State Park in Santa Cruz. The first one, called Circle Loop, is rated as a blue-green trail with a little over 18 miles in length and about 1,500 feet of climbing. It starts off with a good climb but not too steep. The reward is a long downhill with great views of the Pacific Ocean. Once at the bottom of the hill, you also get a nice tour of West Cliff Drive when heading back to your car. The other ride is called Best of Wilder Ranch and is rated as blue. It is on the other side of the park and includes some single track and a nice trail that runs along the beach. It's over 17 miles and about 1,700 feet of climbing. The following day we drove up the California coastline past Davenport and parked at Waddell Beach parking lot near the entrance of Big Basin Redwood State Park. The ride is listed on MTB Project as Berry Creek Falls and is rated a green-blue trail. It's only 12 miles with about 400 feet of climbing. However, there is a half-mile hike at the end that takes you to the falls, which is well worth the trip. Much of the trail is under a canopy of redwoods, and some parts of the trail are muddy. There is also a water crossing option if you don't mind getting your feet wet. The bridge option is easily missed, so just turn back if you run into the creek. At the top of the hill, you'll find a bike rack to lock up your rig. You can see many trees have fallen over the years, so it was fun to film walking through the trees. Emily says there is something special about the smell of a redwood forest. I guess you'll just have to visit the Santa Cruz Mountains to find out.